This is the Business of Apps podcast, bringing you actionable insights from the leaders of the global app industry and the world's fastest growing apps. You can find more app news, data, and analysis over at businessofapps.com.
Welcome to the Business of Apps podcast. On this show, we invite app industry professionals to cover various topics, and we promise to do our best to keep it both insightful but brief. In this episode, we have Greg Ellis, General Manager, Application Security at Digital.ai. Greg, welcome to the Business of Apps podcast.
Thank you, Art.
Thank you for coming, Greg. It's great to have you on. All right, I'm going to set the stage very quickly. So, unless you're listening to me from Mars or some other planet, you know that today cybersecurity is as important as physical one. And they both are intertwined, and security breaches are being reported almost daily. It's about personal data security on your phone, your computer, security of big corporations, and nonprofit. In this episode, we have Greg to talk about security in the mobile app development process. But first, Greg, before anything else, let's kick off with talking about you. Please tell us about yourself and your background in tech.
Yeah, thanks. It seems like I've been a part of technology since I was a young child. And even when working in non-tech companies, I was usually involved with some aspect of technology integration and adoption. And out of college, I worked on avionics systems and platforms for a number of years and integrating software and hardware solutions, which really brought me to being maybe a little bit broader in my perspective about how security and just software in general can play across a much broader system solution. And as you mentioned, I'm currently the general manager here at Digital.ai for the application security business, which is actually a successor company of Arxian, where I started in 2007. And Arxian itself was a spin out of IP formed at Purdue University, which while I was not involved in the early days of that piece of it, I did do some undergrad work at the security lab at Purdue, which is called Sirius or formerly Coast, where several of those founders worked. So kind of a long history, not only in technology, but also on the security side.
Terrific. Now, give me a kind of a thumbnail sketch of what is Digital AI today?
Yeah, as I mentioned, Arxian is one of the predecessor companies or legacy companies. What Digital.ai did is really formed from 5 different companies, pulling across together the top, first, second, or third leading solutions in their respective spaces across planning, application lifecycle management, release orchestration and deployment management, automated testing for web and mobile, and of course, my own group here with application security. And really, I guess, put simply, Digital.ai enables enterprises to move fast at scale. We're the enterprise platform for AI-powered software delivery workflows, allowing for better predictive decision-making, providing the means to orchestrate and govern AI-based software. And our mission really is to help customers unlock the endless digital possibilities by harmonizing the delivery of software across that entire cycle.
Got you. I like the name. It's like every letter in the name gives you like the meaning. Digital AI, like you get the point what exactly the company is doing right away. So it's short, but it's sweet. Now, security. We're gonna use this term first, DevSecOps, which was not familiar to me prior to this interview. So I'm interested to hear more. And what are the main benefits and challenges of its adoption in the enterprise level of development?
Yeah. So DevSecOps for us is, well, first of all, DevSecOps is development, security, and operations and that entire life cycle. And for us, it really is around accelerating digital transformation by unifying, securing, and generating these predictive insights across that software development, delivery, and operational life cycle. And some of the benefits of that really include the efficiency and speed within and among teams, reducing the business risk, enhancing security and compliance, and ultimately increasing enterprise value. And the challenges in that, and especially in the adoption, include a lot of cultural shifts around scaling as teams of teams, especially as organizations continue to grow, and we move from small teams just working within their Scrum teams or their small team environments, and scaling that up to teams of teams across a large enterprise with tens of thousands of developers. And so that's kind of that challenge on the cultural side.
Yeah.
And then on the DevSecOps, it's really around adopting the concept that security is everyone's responsibility and overcoming any fears that new tools or techniques such as the adoption of AI, will somehow jeopardize jobs. And then beyond that, I think it's just important to incorporate a platform approach that allows for leveraging current tools while working toward a more seamless integration across that lifecycle. And of course, from a security standpoint, just striking that balance between speed and security, which really can be aided through automation and these insights.
Yeah, I think it's been more than 20, 25 years since cyber become the second part, like cybersecurity as a term was introduced. And it's a bit of a puzzle for me why, today, like 25 plus years later, it's still not the standard component of every software development you can think of. But yeah, we're still talking about the adoption as the process, so not everybody is on the same page. Now, what are the best practices and tools for implementing DevSecOps in mobile app dev?
Yeah, I'm sure, as many of your listeners may already be aware, the main focus is on shifting left to identify and address security issues as early as possible in the development process, and really incorporating security considerations as early as even in the planning and design stages. And then integrating these automated security protections and testing into the pipeline. So not only standard approaches such as static or dynamic application security testing, but also by adopting approaches that allow for application hardening and shielding to be incorporated into the overall workflow. And then as applications are progressing through this pipeline, just ensuring that any regulatory and compliance issues can be automatically screened and verified, providing audit artifacts on the back end of that, especially in organizations such as like financial services, or really any regulatory environment. And then ultimately ensuring that only secure quality applications actually reach the deployment stage. We've actually heard of some customers that inadvertently release a non-protected application out into the wild. And so you really want to make sure that you've got those tools in place to catch that. But then once the applications themselves are deployed, it's just as important to ensure that those apps are monitored for active attacks and collecting threat analytics and then responding in real time via runtime application self-protect and feeding those insights into the next DevSecOps cycle. So again, it's the best practice is really to not only shift left and add security in the stage, but also then ensuring on the back end and the operational side that it's there, and then that feedback loop that comes all the way back to inform that next cycle within DevSecOps.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with the statement that security of mobile apps is the big issue these days. You may hear about, every aspect of mobile app development, like design, retaining customers, making sure that the app is being used on a daily, monthly basis, like the roadmap of introducing more features. But security is being part and parcel, like just the desktop software, but even more complicated, more challenging. Um, and what are the right way to measure and improve the security performance of the mobile app development team?
Yeah, that's obviously a major focus, right? Is how do we ensure that we're really getting that value as we're shifting left, as we're including security throughout that. So use of approaches such as what we would call like a change risk prediction can provide backwards-looking analytics as well as forward-looking predictive insights into bottlenecks in the process, not just in security, but actually overall in each of the different stages. And if we take generative AI as an example, these tools and these co-pilots that can greatly increase productivity in the development phase, but without this platform approach across that entire pipeline, including integration of continuous testing and the governance and compliance, as I mentioned earlier, bottlenecks are going to occur in these later stages, which may actually prevent the full value of AI from being unlocked, right? So having these tools that allow the visibility to impact of changes, understanding what changes have occurred and what changes have occurred in the past relative to the amount of rework that's been required on those types of changes, and then looking at the level of responsiveness to different parts of that change, and really being able to identify that across the entire organization. Again, not just security. And then lastly, when something's completely in operations, as I mentioned, just understanding as an example what tickets and reports are coming through in the past to start getting these trends and being able to start giving indications of if there's going to be a major incident. So as we think about things on measuring and improving security performance, as I mentioned earlier, it is that shifting left to improve the performance, not only in the development cycle itself, but again, using those predictive analytics to really get those trends looking forward, and then that feedback loop coming back through.
Now, I'm gonna give a quick case of the security problem. In the late of October, Toronto Public Library was hacked. Unfortunately, it's the ransom case, and this is ongoing process. Folks are trying to fix the damage. Some data was breached. Luckily, nothing financial data was stolen, but personal information, and so it's been a work in progress and like making sure that everything is back to work. Some services are still unavailable. And of course, it's a huge problem for every folk living in Toronto that, public library, one of the staples of a local community, just not available. You can still get books online, but the process of getting your books and returning them back physically is not it's not that straightforward it used to be, and some stuff just doesn't work completely at all. It's still TBD when it's going to be put back online. So how do we handle security incidents and vulnerabilities in mobile app releases? Perhaps AI can help with that process.
Yeah, I mean, so implementing real-time monitoring and response, as I kind of mentioned earlier, that runtime application self-protect in the mobile applications to detect and prevent abnormal behavior from escalating is definitely an area that not only we can help in, but AI as a whole really can help by identifying, prioritizing, analyzing, correlating the security events across your mobile app infrastructure based on these patterns and anomalies. And you mentioned the ransomware, and that's certainly something with the increase and the popularity of cryptocurrencies makes it a lot easier for ransomware actors to really kind of cash out and not have attribution and being able to kind of stay away from that. But we're also seeing this proliferation of the attack tools themselves and becoming not only more advanced, but developing more quickly in terms of the different versions of that, is like jailbreak and root type things. And so one of the things that obviously has been going around is, will AI be weaponized from that standpoint on the attack tools, versus how do we use AI, to your point here, to kind of handle these security incidents and vulnerabilities. And so, when incidents do occur, AI can aid in automating these responses based on, predefined rules and playbooks as you're implementing your incident response process, and really significantly enhancing, various aspects of that incident vulnerability management. So, with that though, it's important to note that AI should not just be used as its own comprehensive security strategy, but one that's comprehensive with human expertise to interpret these results and making strategic decisions and looking at how to adapt to new and evolving threats. So that human aspect still needs to be in there, and AI isn't going to necessarily be the end all and be all, but it's there really to augment the work that we're doing and try to reduce our workload. And that combination of AI technologies and human intelligence really creates a more robust defense against security incidents and vulnerabilities, in these mobile app environments.
Yeah, totally. Given the all recent, well, I don't know, I shouldn't say recent, it's been more than a year that ChatGPT was introduced. The whole coverage in the tech press for its huge impact on the whole parts of the economy. It's just another tool in the toolbox, and just with any tool, there's always a case for, for a bad actor to use it and for good guys to use it on the bright side of the equation. So I do hope that it's not going to be part of the problem, but part of the solution, as they say. Now,
Exactly.
Greg, I do want to ask this question to you because you've been in the industry for a while, and I have a feeling you may have a thing or two to reply to get an answer on this question. Looking at big tech today, what would you like to change it about it the most?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, I've thought about this as I've looked at some of the activities that have been going on, and really, a lot of the focus obviously is on the technology and what it enables us to do. But I think with big tech in particular, it might be a little trite, but as these tech titans continue to dominate our daily lives, I would like to see them take more responsibility around improving the society as a whole, right? And not just the profit side of business. And again, that is a little trite to say. And we've seen focus in recent years around environmental and social and governance and diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives. But I think more work is needed there. And I think big tech has an opportunity to not only continue its own stellar growth, but really just shape a stellar future, right, with workplace culture and our local communities and really the world at large, and taking advantage of that ability where these things have really permeated our daily lives to not just make it easier, but make it better.
Totally agree, Greg. That's a really great way of putting it. Bottom line is great, but your future shouldn't hinge only on your bottom line. Boy, I hope this is. I hope what you're saying will be actually a part of the future for the big tech, and fingers crossed. What can
Yeah,
I
I
say?
feel like it's asking for world peace a little bit, but
Yeah,
certainly an
yeah, that's
opportunity.
one of those questions. But when you're not thinking about it, when you're not trying to solve the problem, it's not going to happen on its own, for sure. Okay, the show has always two parts, and the second one is the small, sweet part where I take a quick chance to ask a few quick questions to every guest who comes on the show, because I want my listeners not only be more educated, be more knowledgeable after listening about specific topic, but know every guest who come on the show a little bit better. So here we go. What smartphone do you have now? Are you one of those folks who stick on one side of the equation all the time, or going back and forth between Android and iOS?
Yeah, so I have an iPhone 13 Pro Max currently. And as much as I enjoy tech, I do kind of tend to latch on to devices until really their limitations don't outweigh the benefits of upgrading. I've not really been an Android user, and that's mostly just due to my immediate and extended family being primarily iPhone users themselves, and us kind of standardizing on a platform.
Gotcha. All right. Let's go back in time. Before the era of smartphone, what was your mobile phone back then? Your first
That's a good
mobile
one.
phone?
So yeah, don't laugh, and I'm definitely aging myself here, but my
I'll try
first
it.
mobile phone was actually a Motorola bag phone. So
Oh,
many of your listeners may need to go look that up.
yeah, they should look it up. I'm gonna put the
I
link
would,
on Wiki in the
I would say
description.
my first smartphone, quote unquote, was really a BlackBerry. So I was definitely an early adopter on the BlackBerry stage.
Oh yeah, BlackBerry. Not in the grocery store, but in the as a smartphone.
Right.
Now, imagine you've left your home and for whatever reason you left your iPhone sitting on your and now next to your bed or whatever. You're out. What is the most missing feature for you?
Yeah. Absolutely my integrated calendar. Just between keeping my work life straight, my wife's work activities, and our personal events and other, kids and family activities aligned, I would be totally lost without just having that right there in my hand. And then I would say, the other side of that would probably be just I really enjoy face-to-face discussions. So FaceTime is definitely one that I use a lot on my smartphone.
Got you. Okay. Well, nothing is perfect. The same goes for smartphone. When you look at your iPhone 13 Pro Max, 13 Pro Max or for
Yep,
13 Pro,
13 Pro Max. Yeah.
uh, can you think of anything that is not there yet, software wise or hardware wise? Anything that would make it better for you? I'm not talking about necessarily something that we can hear, being discussed, some trendy stuff, but you think about something that would make it better too for you personally.
Yeah, I don't know that I could put my finger on anything like a specific technology or an application. I would just say in general, I'm just looking forward to those continued integrations and adoption of, whether it's AI or other augmented technologies that just make our day-to-day life easier. I mean, if I'd have thought 10 years ago, would I have, Siri and Alexa in my life as an example, right? It's been a crazy thing, but, I wake up in the morning, I'm asking Alexa what the weather's going to be, how long my commute's going to be. Those things are nice. And again, having those, in your hand on your smartphone and pushing more of the applications, into your hand. And, we hear from, again, as financial services, I was kind of talking about earlier, and some of the things they're focused on, there are more people that are interacting, with their banking applications than are going into, brick and mortar, and the number of tellers has come way down. Number of developers has gone way up, as an example, right? So just having all that right there, in my hand, and continuing to see not just individual applications, but how do those help, again, kind of my day-to-day life go better. But that being said, I think the other thing that is a danger there with having that always on, always present kind of activity going on your smartphone, is really trying to learn how to set that to the side and really be present in the conversation that you're in. And that's something, I guess, maybe heard it referred to as phubbing, right? Where you're kind of snubbing somebody with your phone. So I've really been trying to focus on, taking my phone and setting aside, or putting it face down so I don't see the alerts come up when I'm trying to engage at, out at dinner, or, in another event where I really need to focus. So I think there's a good balance between, these new technologies and how they can make our life better, but not forgetting to have, the personal interaction that I think we really enrich our lives.
Yeah, I think the metaphor that your smartphone is just another tool serves nicely, but to the point, because when it comes to tool like a hammer or a screwdriver, this thing do not dominate your life. It just sit there in your toolbox. You grab it whenever you need to use it and just put it away. With the smartphone, it's harder. It's got to be a tool that is itself capable to kind of back up and just move away from your life, whatever it should do, and go back when, like, any moment you need any help. That intelligent kind of a back and forth is dance is not there yet. So we're trying. Hopefully, Apple will keep pushing this frontier more and more, and still making sure the device is secure. I think we both agree it should be the
Yeah,
case.
absolutely.
All right, before I let you go, very, very, very final question, which is this. How can people get in touch with you and get more information about what you do?
Oh, yeah, great question. So I would recommend starting on our website at Digital.ai. That has a lot more information on what we're doing for our latest innovations, including our product release highlights, some how-to demos, and additional content and resources, such as our community portal that we put out there that really allow for more engaged discussions. Obviously, there's also links to our support and our new inquiry pages as well. So that's more of kind of the general approach. And then from a personal standpoint, LinkedIn is probably the best way to get a hold of me. Although I would certainly ask that any cold contacts, if you're reaching out, make it very clear, why you want to connect, and why you think that relationship would be, valuable both directions.
Cool. Greg, thank you so much for spending time with us and being on the show. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. And that was Greg Ellis, General Manager, Application Security at Digital.ai. To listen to more episodes, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. Just search for Business of Apps, and you will find us easily. Remember, we release episodes on Mondays, so subscribe, and you will be able to get new episodes on your smartphone, tablet, or computer as soon as we release them. And please don't forget to leave us a review or comment on iTunes. It is highly appreciated. And all episodes will also be available on businessofapps.com. Thank you for listening. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Business of Apps podcast. For more, head on over to businessofapps.com.